buffer. All right, North Florida high school football fans, welcome to another edition, championship edition of the Extra Point. Man, it has been a really entertaining 2024 high school football season, and I've had a blast really covering a lot of these teams in the area. We've seen some raw talent. Going to be looking forward to seeing a lot of these seniors play on Saturdays, but we got 1 week left here in the Big Bend, and we've got a doozy. We've got Gadsden County competing for their first state championship in school history coming up on Thursday. That's going to be a great one. And then in the previous week, Madison County Cowboys up. They got the job done in a big way against what really is a nice little budding rivalry. I hope they get a chance to meet up again against Hawthorne. Cowboys took that one in great celebratory fashion. Shout out to Coach Harris. I know they're still celebrating over there at Boot Hill, but man, it's been a great football season thus far, and I'm really excited about the game we have coming up tomorrow. But man, this has been a great season thus far.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. I guess as a group, we got a chance to see a lot more teams in the playoffs, which was exciting. And I like some of the outcomes. Some teams didn't make it. I was hoping that we had a little bit more and we have maybe one more than one down, this weekend. But I'm looking forward to the matchup. Great perennial team in Coco. Then you got Gadsden trying to make their run, make their first one. People in Gadsden County, I talked to some folks today, they're excited. They had it. They're going to the game. They're excited about it. And they're looking forward to it because they were asking me, somebody called and asked me what was on TV. I said, no. I think they put it on the network, on the high school network, and that's the only place you can see it. And so this guy just told me, he said, I guess I'll drive down. Like, dang. I was like, man, I wish I had it. I could just decide to drive. So a lot of the guys and the folks are excited about going down. It should be that amazing. I also got to talk to some people outside of our area. I talked to my friend Everett Pruitt. He's on Orlando Jones staff, and they already got 3 bus students sold out, ready to go to the game. So, man, it should be an exciting weekend.
when you go to state, it's just a different animal, man. Everything comes alive when you go to state. I mean, people, the alumni, the school supporter, the admins, your favorite teacher, your least favorite teacher, they're all going to be there cheering you on. It's almost like everybody forgets. Uh, everybody, it's a second Christmas, if you will, especially for the teams that make it this far. One of the things I noticed is just, it's going to be a Gadsden County takeover. And so we're going to have to jump into it. But, man, with Coach Simmons now assuming the role of head Panther in charge down at FIU, it's going to be a great, great Gadsden County takeover. If you live in Havana or you live in Quincy, you should be on your way to Miami right now. It's really something that I consider to be very historic for Gadsden County, not since the days of Shanks back in the early 70s has a team ascended to this level. And so it's been a long time coming. And so hopefully for those who do have the availability, all the old Shanks Tigers and Havana Gladiators should be on their way down to Miami to enjoy what will be a historic afternoon. But man, it's been a fun ride so far. I think we've seen the best of what I would consider to be the best in the state in this brand of football we have here along the I-10 corridor. But we got some stuff to get into, man. A lot of big things happening, especially on the college ranks. We already talked about shotgun for just a quick second, but man, we need to really jump into a lot of things happening. Let's go ahead and kick it off right. Man, one quarterback on the way out, another one comes in. I don't know. From what I've heard, they're still trying to convince Luke to stay. There's some negotiations going on. I think he's got 1.5 feet out the door, trying to entertain some other options. But we'll have to see on if Florida State can kind of close the deal. But if not, I fully expect them to kind of move on.
Well, I think that my friend Juke might have a little bit more information. It seems like he would jump. Go ahead with it. I'm going to just listen.
Yeah, it feels like if not 1.5 mark, it feels like 1 and 9/10 feet out the door. So depending on who you talk to or what the rumors are, there's two sides to the story, but to me, it all ends the same way, and it looks like he's pretty on down the road, which is a shame. I know there's a lot that went in this season, but towards the end of the season, I started to see why he was recruited. Um, and so I saw some glimpses, so I understand whoever's going to get him probably, or maybe kind of bigger and better things. So shame, but we'll see because I'm hearing an interesting name coming down the pipe that could be in the mix here for FSU.
Do you think they go after the Boston College quarterback?
Yeah, I was wondering why you would say it. He's more like Travis. Anyway, so I think they would love to have that.
Hey, if you can't beat him, get him to join you because he absolutely gave at Florida State fits over the past couple of years. He's an amazing talent. And if Luke, doesn't like the kind of money being thrown at him, hey, this is the new era of college football. You're free to go wherever you want to. I think a lot of times, especially for the fans, it's hard to really get attached to, some of the big names. But hopefully Florida State can be able to kind of do some things to right the ship because I think right now it's just you want to be able to retain some of the talent. And they did, honestly, I think they've done a phenomenal job with all things considered to try and close some of the early signees during the first signing day here about a week and a half ago. There were some nice surprises, and they still picked up a couple of more guys. It'll be a little bit telling as we get closer to spring as they close that roster out, but there's a lot of movement that can still definitely take place. And I know this staff is kind of excited to get back to basics. Keeping Odell was, I feel like that was a nice gesture, keeping him on staff. He still can is a great recruiter. But man, with Gus Malzahn coming in along with another group of fresh faces on the coaching staff, might be the shot in the arm that Florida State needs right now.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mark. Sometimes change is good. You bring in new blood. Kids tend to be more attentive they might think, hey man, they got rid of so and so, they might get rid of me. So I better do a better job and bring a little more intensity. Sometimes as a player, you get tired of hearing the same old voice, and it doesn't resonate with you, and you kind of go through you just go through the steps. You don't care. You have you don't play as hard, but you still got to play. And the new coach, because it's still X's and O's. You just got to know where to go, and the guys that's got to perform. If you're a top player, that's your job. Don't take it for granted that you got a spot, and especially when you're not winning. When you're not winning, everything is up for sale.
Yeah, we got to go get some dogs, Coach. Got to get some good ones and ones that are hungry, not ones that have been getting fed, because I think that's what's going to take. And until FSU can crack consistently and get in the mix there, they have to be able to kind of do more with less, I guess, so to speak. Get some little plug and play from the portal until you can get into that national power conversation. Otherwise, you won't be able to sustain that kind of level of recruiting. So I'm hoping we can keep our guy Mekhi Danzy around as he's been getting some love in the second half. So I haven't seen much on him. So I'm hoping that's a good thing. No news is good news. So we'll see in the coming weeks.
Yeah, it's a money game right now, and I think Florida State's trying to figure out how to recoup, figure out where the funds are going to come from and figure out how to, really figure out how they can get some of these guys, attracted to stay at the university. It's going to be a nice little, experiment here, I think, as we're, trying to figure out how this new look college football landscape is going to work out. No surprise here, but yeah, Marching 100 up for Band of the Year on ESPN. Football team won't be at the Celebration Bowl, but the band will, and I think that's all we can hope for right now. So shout out to the Marching 100 as they compete for Band of the Year. Should come home with the trophy. They have every other one there is. So, man, a slam dunk hire here for FIU. I feel like this was, probably couldn't happen to a better guy, but, it's going to make the atmosphere with Gadsden County playing in the state championship in Pitbull Stadium, and then a Gadsden County guy, a Quincy guy no less, taking over the college football program. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of Jaguars get some offers after this weekend, especially with Coach Simmons taking over the program. His pedigree speaks for itself. This is big news, though. I really, think that, the move to Duke probably surprised some, but I think everybody kind of knew he was on his way up to Division I.
Yeah, I'm happy for the young man. He's done a great job. Everywhere he goes, he wins, and he's been very successful in the college ranks. Looking at him, I remember. I guess I'll tell my age. I remember when he was in middle school. I got a chance to see him up close and personal because he was playing against one of the teams I was coaching. And when I saw him then, I said, man, that kid is amazing. I mean, he was a special quarterback at a young age, and as he developed, he became one of the hottest quarterbacks in the country. And then when he decided to be a coach, he took it to another level. I think he's a fantastic coach, and I think they are very fortunate to get a coach like Willie Simmons.
Oh yeah, we lost Juke for a second. Hopefully he'll be back. There he is. But yeah, I think that a lot of what we saw at Florida A&M was just kind of a precursor. That team that he put together prior to COVID just kind of showed you his ability to recruit, put together a staff. The way the offense ran kind of shows you just kind of his mindset and how he approaches the game. Very detail oriented. I think he's a player's coach. A lot of the former guys and even the guys on this year's past team just kind of endeared themselves to him and just his philosophy. He had a very kind of I would say just kind of had a player's edge to him that just made guys gravitate to him, and just his style of being able to run a team. I think he's going to do very well at FIU, especially in a hotbed like South Florida.
Yeah, if he can keep those guys out there, that's going to be a major key for him. But also, this is a great niche for him to get some of the guys up here as well, because I think a lot of guys kind of fall into this classification and or are slept on from our area that we know are kind of big time ballers, and obviously him being familiar with the area, I think this is going to be big time for him. And this may not be the last little step in the path for Coach Simmons here.
No, there is some barbershop talk that there could be a path back to Tallahassee at a different school. We'll see. That will be kind of a full circle moment, but for right now, I think especially with the talent level in the state, I could see him taking the Panthers to a major bowl game in the next 2-3 seasons if everything kind of falls in place for him. So. Yeah, I'm going to look forward to seeing Shotgun on the sidelines down at Pitbull Stadium. All right, this is just a bit of good news. I always like good news, but this is a nice one here where we have Chance Gaynor has been named to the North-South FACA All-Star Classic. Just a nice gesture on behalf of the FACA, and also Tanner Jones will be on that staff along with a host of other guys from the Big Bend. I know Coach Cooper from Franklin County will also be participating. When we get a chance to get that roster list released, we'll announce those guys. Really, this is probably the biggest all-star tradition in the state with the North-South Football Classic by the FACA. And, our good friend Coach Cruz does a great job putting it together year in and year out. It's just really a great atmosphere. Goes down at the villages. And one of the things that I like about it is that they run the whole thing like a bowl game. Guys get in on Tuesday, and they kind of get the bowl game treatment with the banquets, the media days, the photo ops, and everything. Really nice atmosphere. So it's nice to see that a lot of the guys that will be playing in that All-Star game are right from this area. So we'll be as soon as we get that roster, which should be coming out any day now, we'll be announcing those guys. I know a lot of guys have already received their invites and been making their announcement on Instagram and Twitter. So we'll get a chance to go over that in the next few days to come. But let's go ahead and talk about this one in true championship form. Madison County got the job done against Hawthorne, and man, it always is sweet when you get the chance to avenge a loss, especially in the state championship game from the year before. But Madison County really dominated this one, 21-14 over Hawthorne, claiming their 7th state championship. So congrats to the Cowboys. Man, it was just a great showing by Madison County. I think they really proved why we are one of the top teams in the state. And honestly, the way they kind of jumped out early in the game, it kind of looked like, even though the score didn't indicate it, they clearly were the more dominant, more physical team that night.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I watched the game. It was a pretty good game. And you saw that Hawthorne tried to fight back, couldn't quite get there. Madison guys, they were ready for the game. They were all over the place. And I'm glad for them, because I think they lost to Hawthorne twice. And so you got your revenge. You got a state title. And hey, it was the first one of the year.
Yeah, for sure. They had the early release party, it seemed like, going on for the state championship. But yeah, it feels like this is the new matchup in rural. I feel like I guess we didn't realize it at the time. And is this the fumble recovery? That's how you start a football game right there. Yes. So traditional Madison County fashion, they played it big with the defense, wear them down with the run game. But it feels like this is the new matchup that we have going on. I feel like it was Madison and Pahokee in kind of that 2010 late, basically the entire decade, it seemed like. And it seemed like that 2019 victory of when Coach Co, it feels like they kind of transitioned into Madison County and Hawthorne now. So that's the matchup that we want to see. So hopefully we'll keep them on opposite sides of the bracket like they were this year, so we can see them again and again in the championship and not like a semifinal or something like that. But really fun matchup, and Madison County did what they thought we could do, and really what we've seen all year. But shout out to the Cowboys and just a great effort. And look at Crumity there. Punched that one in, but some really cool highlights. And this is stereotypical Madison County ball right here.
Yeah, they didn't have to do anything fancy. I think they did exactly what they set out to do. They contained Hawthorne. You can see just the level of dominance here. Negative 55 rushing yards against Hawthorne, and that just kind of spells the whole night. If you can't run the ball, it makes it awfully hard to pass. As you can see, Hawthorne only tallied 51 total yards on the night. That just spells disaster for the Hornets, and everything that Madison came in there to do, especially with Coach Harris talking about finishing the job, they did just that. Cowboys are definitely up right now as they claim their 7th state championship. And you can see the celebratory photo here, everybody holding the rings. I mean, not the rings, but the medals. And Coach, you've been here before. It's just a great atmosphere. There's just nothing really like it in all of high school sports. I know there have been several different venues to host the game, but anytime you can, hold up that trophy at the end of the year, it's just a special moment.
Man, it's special. I think we were on the field a couple times they won. Because I think I looked through some of my photos in the past, and we were on the field watching, the celebration. We 4 quarters. I think we had everybody there, and I'm glad for them. You win 7. I guess that sounds like a big number, but it's some other schools who've done more than that. And from a small area, small town, they got a lot to be proud of because they're carrying the same tradition that they've been carrying for years. I remember a time when they couldn't quite get over the hump, and they were just steady, always trying to go up. I even went to a game where I think it was in Gainesville. They were playing the state championship, and the coach and one of the fans was about to get into it during the game. They're serious about this football, and so they got over the hump. And once they got over the hump, they keep doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's rarefied air now, gentlemen. They are one of 10 programs with 7 or more state championship, with the hundreds and hundreds of schools that play ball and have played ball. As we know, even here locally, some schools have folded, so no longer in that consideration, but absolutely rarefied air, and it's an awesome story. But yeah, it is high stakes, Coach, and it is kind of up and down, and good to see them pushing through. I don't know if you ever heard the story. Coach Co told me one time about when they lost in the Final Four. He wakes up the next morning and he's got a for sale sign in his front yard, but he didn't put it there. There's like some Jimbo Fisher stuff out there in Madison County, but everybody loves you when you're winning. Just like Coach said last week, he's getting a lot of interviews right now.
Yeah, it's special. I think Coach Harris, especially for him being able to claim the title and kind of keep the Madison tradition going, is just a real testament to just the brand of football they play out there. And a lot of it just has to do with community, which is what Coach Harris talked about. You got a community behind you. You can do a lot of things because the players really thrive off of that support. And it's evident, nobody does it alone. And most state championship teams, when they go on a run, it takes a slew of people jumping behind them. So I'm sure everybody in that photo is definitely celebrating right now. But I know there's a bunch of happy parents and a bunch of happy students that are getting ready to celebrate the Christmas break with the state championship. So shout out to the Madison County Cowboys with their 21-14 win over Hawthorne. Great way to cap the regular season, going into the playoffs with the state championship. So shout out to them. Now, meanwhile, back over in Gadsden County, man, what can you say? I just look at how, no matter what you throw at them, the Jaguars always seem to find a way. And this was probably one of their biggest tests on their home turf. Booker T. Washington makes the trip up from Miami with business on their mind because they wanted to play in front of their home fans. That was a big goal for them to end the season in front of their hometown fans. But, man, Gadsden County was not having it. They're like, nah, history's going to be on our side this time. And really the fourth quarter effort just closed the door against the Tornadoes. And in a resounding fashion, once again, Gadsden County comes out on top, 47-27. And, man, Jupe, you were there on hand for that one. Just in different phases of the game, they somehow find a way to just dominate their opponent.
Well, Mark, their running attack was special. I was watching the game. I was like, dang. They cannot, and they couldn't stop battle. Davis was on. That 1-2 punch is devastating, and it keeps the ball away from the other team because they're pretty impressive. They can throw the ball pretty good. And I was looking at it, I'm like, man, I hope they can pull this out because when they watched Booker T got the ball, they were slinging it all over the place. But that running attack calmed everything down, and when they put that final touchdown in, you could tell the game that was it, and they needed every point, every yard, every inch to win the football game. It wasn't no slouch they played, and they blew them. The score might seem like they just ran away with it. It was close for like most of the game, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 with the running attack. Impressive, great job, Coach Edison this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, they were losing in the second half of that game. So I think it was 27-0 they finished, or 27-0 fourth quarter. They ended it on a crazy run. But it was back and forth, and it was a great clash of styles. And you had the passing attack because Gadsden really took the big running back out of the equation for, I think his name was James. I don't recall his exact name, but he was a solid back coming in, doing a lot of things. They took him out of the game, and Booker T literally stopped calling runs, and they just started passing it because they're like, well, this is useless. We're just going to sling it all over the place. So they started going 5 wide, slinging it around, and so they were making some production back and forth. But the story of the season, the Gadsden County trench has warmed down because then they could still, as they only rushed 4 all night long. They very rarely blitzed. They wanted to keep everybody in the secondary against that passing attack. But then in the third quarter, it was a breaking of wills or like a battle of attrition. Then the pass rush started to get home, and the quarterback couldn't do anything. And then you have everybody jumping routes and stuff because he's got to throw it quick. And that's when you had the interceptions, and it just fed the beast, and you saw Gadsden pull away late. But credit to that pass rush because that was the difference. But it was back and forth until they started getting home and getting those turnovers, which they turned all the turnovers. I think it was 2 in the second half, 2 or 3 in the second half, all led to touchdowns. And then there's no way back in it at that point for Booker T. But I thought they played really well on the other side for the Tornadoes. I was worried about if they could come up here and play in the cold. They showed up to the game pretty late. I think it was about 35 minutes before kickoff.
Wow.
And they rolled out the bus, heaters, hyped up. I didn't see anybody with short sleeves for Booker T. But they were ready to go. They were prepared. So whatever they did, they were up for the challenge. That was my biggest thing. How did they handle the weather? And they were up for it. And they gave Gadsden all they could handle.
It was impressive. It was a pretty good game and the score doesn't reflect how it exactly went.
Mm-hmm.
The Jaguars took the end of the game and just dominated. Other than that, it was a close game. I guess space was 3 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I look at how, just really that's the most points that Gadsden County has given up this entire season. And, when you get, to the semifinals, quarterfinals, state finals, like you're going to face teams that are just a different animal than what you've seen all year long. And honestly, with the way that they made the adjustments going down the stretch, especially into the fourth quarter, being able to take advantage of certain things, you have to go back to the resiliency of this team. they've been able to really pull away from a lot of teams late. Look at Lincoln earlier in the year where just closing the door in the second half. Florida High, where that was a really tight game. And then again, capitalizing off of miscues and mistakes, shutting the door again. This team is really built, I think, for the second half. A lot of what they do is, sometimes they get in positions, especially on the defensive side, where they bend, but they don't break. And it can be tough to just find your way into the end zone against this team. Once they get into a defensive rhythm and they start catching your number, that front four really gets after it. And then, of course, again, shout out to the offensive line. Great job creating holes where they needed to for the running game and keeping, for the most part, keeping Doherty's jersey clean.
Yeah, awesome game. Awesome. Watching them through the season, I thought they were going to be more of a passing attack at the beginning of the season, but they had those two guys in the backfield. It hurt. It changes the game when you can run the football. I mean, when you can just run the ball, because I think the week before, Battles had three straight runs, and he scored a touchdown and kind of settled that game. And so then you come in there with a 1-2 punch, and most teams just have one guy. They got him. I think they got 2.5. The other young man that they have is pretty good too. So Coach Edison has done a great job with these guys and got them ready to play, and everybody is doing their thing. And that defensive front, oh man, they are special. They are special. You can't just sit back there and pass football. You gotta get it out your hands. And I think they did a great job. And I think they'll be prepared for whatever Coco has. It should be an exciting matchup.
And that's part of it, is just the depth. I mean, they go 8-9 deep, good minutes on that defensive line. So it's not just like 4 guys, everything out. They're flipping them out, and everybody's getting some rotation, and they're keeping them fresh and keeping them lively. And that's how they're able to wear, because there's no drop off. And I think just what they've built out there, or what they have going on, is pretty special.
Yeah, this team was built to play 15 games. We saw it at the beginning of the year with the talent that came into the program, the talent that Coach Ellington was talking about. It is very hard to get a lot of guys on the same page during the summer. There's just limited hours, and the job that they've done has been absolutely phenomenal, especially given the fact that when you look at this roster, I mean, you can hand the ball off to or throw the ball to a number of different guys. And so it's definitely superstar by committee in certain instances, but they've been able to kind of, stick to that 1-2 punch, and it's been paying off dividends. And so now we talk about game number 15, Gadsden County taking on Co for all the marbles, the Class 2A state championship game, Pitbull Stadium, Miami, Florida, Thursday afternoon at 1 p.m. This is really historic, and just really going back to the Shanks community and the Havana Gladiator community. There's really just hasn't been. I wouldn't call it a drought, just with the school mergers and the really school mergers for a second time, where East Gadsden and West Gadsden were consolidated. Gadsden County has been knocking on the door now for several years, even going back to Corey Fuller's days there. They were one game away with the regional championship, one game away from being able to have a state championship berth, state title berth. And now that day is finally here. And, it's kind of one of those where I would love to get some fans from, some of the old guard and kind of hear some of those stories where you look at how just the progression of, football just through the years in this community has really meant a lot to so many people. All the names that have come from Gadsden County that have matriculated to the next level and done great things in the NFL and the college ranks. This is really kind of a culmination of all of those years of great talent. And now it gets to, I would say, a group of kids get to kind of put the exclamation point on it tomorrow at Pitbull Stadium. But man, the opponent couldn't be a more formidable one in Coco, and the matchup is definitely going to be one for the ages. And let's break down Coco for a minute. The Tigers really feature probably one of the most dangerous passing attacks. They've got a kid, Javan Boggs, who's just absolutely a monster at wide receiver. He's an FSU commit, flipping from, I believe, UCF to Florida State recently in this last recruiting cycle. Their quarterback is a former Michigan commit, now a Texas A&M commit, and that is their offense. Make no mistake, Boggs is getting the ball. If you play, just hey, Gadsden Co secondary, this kid is getting the ball. If that ball is thrown anywhere within a 5-foot radius of him, he's going to make a play on it to try and bring it down. He owns the state record, if I'm not mistaken, for receiving yards in the season. Also owns a number of other records, a 4-year starter there, and that is the bulk of their offense. Coco doesn't run the ball a whole lot because they don't have to. Whenever you got a kid, in my opinion, who averages 200 yards receiving a game, that really tells you everything you need to know. The other thing the Tigers do very well, they have a great, excellent edge rusher who leads the area or leads the state in a lot of areas in sacks, or one of the state leaders in sacks. Coming off the edge, defense, they rotate a ton of guys in, so they're always fresh on defense and able to kind of wear offenses out. This will be a great matchup, I think, for between Coco's defense and Gadsden County's offensive line. Their offensive front has stood stout and tough all season long. A lot of this is really going to come down to how can the Gadsden County secondary contain ball. And, I think that Gadsden County has risen they've risen to the challenge all season long. And in my opinion, the difference maker in this particular game is definitely going to be focus schedule. The talent level that Gadsden County has faced, I think, supersedes what Coco has gone up against. Coco hasn't played a slouch schedule, and by no means, but down the stretch, a lot of the teams that they've beaten, 5-5, 6-4, 6-5, and whereas in Gadsden County has faced off against 3 Georgia teams. The comeback win against McCallie, who just won the state championship last week, going up against Florida High. I look at how Gadsden County is built. I think they have a great opportunity here to walk away with the school's first state championship in history. I'm going with the Jags. Give me Gadsden County by 7 or more.
Oh, you got your point spread and everything. Huh?
Been dropping them every day.
I just hope they win, right? It should be. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see the game. I love watching how they play, and I've seen Coco in the past. They used to be a running football team. Now they're throwing. They got one of the best receivers in the country. I'm excited about that matchup. I'm looking forward to. I got my popcorn, and I'm ready to sit up and I'll put it on the big screen so I can see it. And I'm excited about the matchup. I think we'll know. I think by the third quarter, we'll kind of figure out how this game is going to go and what's got to happen. Because like in high school, you don't match up with teams like this all the time. Sometimes teams that throw the football, they struggle against a running attack, and so because I don't want to say they're a little finesse, but they're not used to it. They don't practice against solid. I'm sure they did all they could this week, but matching up with that two-headed monster of Gadsden County is going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, and I think stylistically, that's a great point, Coach, because I think it's kind of a battle of styles. Is they haven't really played a team that likes to get in on that run much. I know Venice was running a little bit on them, but Venice still likes to throw a lot. But I think the most dedicated team that they've played on the run is IMG. But IMG has no equal, so it's tough to compare there. Obviously, they lost both of those ball games. But on the flip side, kind of what you see up against Gadsden, kind of similar to Booker T, I think Coco is the type of team that's able to get Gadsden. So that's why I think it's such a great matchup. Is it's going to be strength versus strength for these two contests going on. And Coach, to your point, you can be a running school, but if you got a 4-star quarterback and a 4-star wide receiver, you got to start slinging it. So I think that kind of that was in the cards for him. But I think for the Gadsden County side, I really think that I don't want to say got lucky, but I think it was very beneficial for them to play Booker T exactly the week before, because I think stylistically, talent-wise, you think about Hanks Jr. on the other side, the Florida commit, kind of similar. I know he's more defensive back, but you have a high-profile athlete. It's going to be a focal point, and some other guys who can get it done. But, there's times where Booker T just cleaned out the house. They're like, yeah, we're not running it. And it kind of seems like Coco gets in a groove where they don't really want to run it at all. But I think Gadsden will have to kind of play Peyton Manning rules here, to be honest. I think they're going to have to play a little keep away, do the old Gadsden 4, 5, 8-yard fight. They're going to have big plays, I think. But that seems what could be the recipe for success, because when it boils down to it, you can't give these guys a lot of chances. You can only keep lightning in the bottle, it seems, for so much. All those contributing to what should be an excellent game.
Yeah. Coco does not turn the ball over very often. I think they win a 6-game stretch without an INT or a fumble, which is kind of showcases their quarterback knows how to take care of the ball. Great game manager. They have a kicker who's pretty good from 35 yards out. Basically, I think a lot of it will come down to being able to – the teams that have been successful against Coco, of course, we talked about IMG, but the common opponent here has been Venice. Gadsden County opened up the preseason at Venice, played them exceptionally well into the third quarter, where the subs and non-starters or the underclassmen started getting in the game. So a little bit of a common thread there. Coco was able to take Venice down to the wire. And honestly, looking at how they played against, looking at how Coco played against Northern, which was really kind of more of a blowout loss, it had a lot more to do with just the fact that Norland just had enough athletes to contain some of the firepower that Coco has. Again, Coco not the most I wouldn't say they're the deepest team out there, but they rotate a ton of guys on defense. Even their starting wide receiver comes in and plays a little bit of outside cornerback for a few plays to give some guys a breather, just to kind of make sure that they have enough fresh legs. So this is a team that's battle tested. Will come in to the game, doing their homework as well. And Duke made a great point talking about keying in on one specific guy. They have other guys on the team that are definitely standouts in their own right, but it is about the passing game for the Tigers. Make no mistake, they only average about 50 yards on the ground per game because they just don't have to run. So I expect Gadsden County to be dropping 7 and 8 sometimes, just to be able to kind of contain that passing attack. And a lot of times, Coach, just like you said, when you're dominant in one area, you may not get a chance to let your defense focus on the opposite side because you're good at that one particular aspect, especially in the passing game. So Gadsden County might benefit just from being the more balanced team. They throw the ball just as well as they can run the ball.
Yeah, one thing they cannot do is turn the ball over. You don't give a team like that with explosive offense short fields to score, and you want to make sure that you're consistent. Don't give them anything. Don't give away anything. You run the ball, mix your offense up, mix it up, dominate the clock. Keep those guys over there like to throw football, keep them over there on the sideline. And I think they'll be fine. If they get a big lead on that team is not going to panic because they know they can throw the football. So what you got to do is be consistent. No turnovers, ground game, mixing your offense up, control the clock, keep them guys over there on the sideline. So they can't throw on the sideline. They can, but it don't count. And I think with what I've seen from Gadsden County this year, they're perfectly built for what they got to face tomorrow. I think that going all over, they played in Georgia, they played in Tennessee, they played, like I said earlier, Venice. They faced all kind of offense and defenses. So it should be prepared, and ready to go. And I can't wait to see it tomorrow. I think it's going to be one of the best matchups of the whole tournament.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And I think on another point to kind of that defense is I like the secondary. And, talking to a couple people locally and some people in the city, and they say a lot of people sleep on Gadsden County secondary. You think about Coop going to Charleston Southern. You think about Bleachington, who's also got a lot of offers, both sides. And then also you think about a benefit is, the quarterback's not going to be a really big run threat, which, of course, against this past week, they had to worry about kind of that QB spy situation. And it seems like a lot of times their big opponents had dual threat quarterbacks. So it made it really tough to commit because you had to have some guys hanging out, like when they played Lincoln and stuff like that, but not really on the table for them. So I feel like they would be confident with just the 4. And kind of like Mark said, and you guys have been talking about dropping everybody else back. It's like, all right, let's see what we got, our guys versus your guys. But having said that, I think Cardinal Mooney, they get roasted and they're going to be torched in highlight reels forever because homeboy set the state record. But outside of those it was either the first 2 drives or the first 2 scoring drives, I feel like they did a pretty good job containing the offense. They had the 60-yard pass and then the 40-yard pass on that, I think the first and second drive, which led to 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. But after that, they were back and forth. Their offense got going. So it shows you that Coco's not like untouchable. And so I think that was kind of encouraging there. Is something that kind of plays into it. Plus, it's weird. It's a 12:30 game, guys. Yeah. And I always hated playing day games. And so, I feel like that's just a weird thing that I don't know that anybody is necessarily prepared for that on either side. So that lends itself to some potential shenanigans as well.
Yeah. You got one thing about those 1 o'clock games. You're off your routine. Those early, we played every, two games, and we kind of started slow because your routine is different. You used to getting up and being up all day and then playing a 7 o'clock game. All of a sudden now you're playing in the middle of the day. The sun's going to be beaming on you. You might get a little more dehydrated. You got to make sure you got enough water. Other things that is necessarily talking about playing, but preparing yourself for the game. Back to that receiver. I wouldn't drop everybody back. I'd make sure I got him bracketed and try to play everybody else one-on-one or in the zone them up. Don't let him, because if you play a big receiver way off him, all he's going to do is catch the ball short and just run. And, now we're worrying about moving the chains. Take him away, frustrates the quarterback. Taking my number 1 target away. And I'm sure, I'm positive Coach Eddington got that play. He don't need my advice. He don't need, but I know when you take something that a team loves to do, and when you take it away, it frustrates them. So you got to make them do something they don't want to do. That's my coaching point of the day.
Yeah, it's going to be a great atmosphere. I expect I definitely expect the Quincy and Havana faithful to travel very well down to Miami.
They're already there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they are.
I hope so. Yeah. They're gonna miss it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to play in these games, and it's just really just one of those where you're more so taking it in, especially from the fans' perspective. But I really like the way that shout out to Dennis at Game Day Hoops has done a phenomenal job, like just covering Gadsden County. You can kind of see some of the shots here from the last practice down in Miami. Guys just locked in, ready to get it on. Like you can tell, this team is focused on the mission. And I really I think this team is very much poised to be able to hold up the 2A trophy when things are done. But it'll be a fantastic game, and I look forward to seeing Gadsden County coming out on top.
Me too. Go.
There you go.
I make my pick. I got
There you go. I'm getting on board too. I hopped off the train once this year and I got burned. So I told myself never again. So I'm going to stay Gadsden County. And it's awesome, like you said, really exciting here for the Big Bend and the greater Gadsden community. And I would like to say that this is going to become more usual for Gadsden County, as it feels like there's some real positive momentum the last 5+ years. But if we look at history, gentlemen, it's been 49 years the last time a Gadsden County team has been to the championship. Shout out to 1975 Greensboro and Jerry Brookins and the gang over there in Gadsden County. But 49 years.
And there were quite a few of those guys who were in the stands during the playoff run. So that's also one of those special things. You get those alumni coming out just to be able to pour in their support. So that's definitely a special thing going on over there.
Congratulations, making it. You never thought that back then. That's when I was in high school in the 70s. So, and I remember it was before the Greensboro turned into West Gadsden. So and I'm happy for them. I know a couple of guys from that era, and I'm excited and I'm happy for them. Hopefully they could bring back the trophy, get a ring.
Yeah, well, this team is definitely set up for that. I will be tuned in tomorrow watching that game. It's going to be a great one. So, yeah, we're going to be a little bit biased here. We're definitely pulling for the home team on this one.
We ain't broadcasting. We can be biased.
Yeah, it's going to be a great one. I really like what Coach Ellington has done over the course of this season. And, man, it's always great to see a pair of our teams in the ship, as it were, being able to compete for state championships is really a great testament to the kind of football here we have in North Florida. So, man, great matchup going down tomorrow at 1 o'clock in Pitbull Stadium. It's going to be on for a good one. Man, needless to say, the Extra Point will be back to recap next week. Just been a great season thus far. We're gonna take some time. We gotta put together our all area team. So hopefully we'll be able to throw some more shout outs to a lot of guys that have had phenomenal stellar seasons thus far in 2024. But we've got one more game left on the slate. So it's gonna be a doozy between Gadsden County and Coco for the Class 2A crown. So, man, I think that'll do it for us here at the Extra Point podcast. We appreciate everybody hanging out, rocking with us thus far. It's going to be a great one going down tomorrow. And, my thing is like this. Special shout out to Jonathan Ferris pulling for the home teams, as it were. But, man, it's going to be a great atmosphere tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to being able to see if we can get one more title back here in the Big Bend area. So it's going to be a great game. But yeah, guys, I think that'll do it for this week. So we'll have plenty to talk about next week. Hopefully we'll get a chance to keep the celebration train rolling. But until then, these are my tag team partners, Coach Cofield and Juju. This is 4 Quarters Online, and the Extra Point podcast will catch everybody next Wednesday, hopefully with some more championship talk.